Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Week Ahead News Show with me, Liam, and my good friend Tommy.
Flo, thanks for having me back. Another week ahead news show. Let's get the pain train moving. Let's go.
Yep, episode 48. It's currently February 2nd, 2022. Puxtony Phil saw a shadow today. 6 more weeks of winter. Be ready for that. Make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell if you want to be notified whenever we go live. Our Facebook is also in the description, and we will post a couple hours earlier when we'll be going live. We have our sports show on Thursdays. Northeast Ohio Sports Show at 8:30. Today we're going to be doing a little bit earlier. We might have to start doing this at 8:15 or 8. We'll have to see. I'll go right into weather. Today was a low of -2, high of 24. A little bit of snow, but mostly partly cloudy. Tomorrow is going to be a high of 27, low of 12, partly cloudy. Wednesday, high of 23, low of 5. A little bit colder again Wednesday, partly cloudy. Thursday, high of 22, low of 9, partly cloudy. On Friday, we're going to get some sleet, 65% chance, 31, 12. Make sure you stay on the weather, though, because it's always kind of been changing. Saturday, high of 14, low of 6, partly cloudy. Sunday, partly cloudy, high of 23, low of 5. Next Monday, will be partly sunny, high of 29, low of 9. Currently, our moon is at waxing gibbous. The next moon set is at 8:30 a.m. Illumination's at 98%, pretty close to getting there. Moon set 8:05, moonrise, 8:05 a.m., moonrise, 6:44 p.m. Next full moon, 29 days, just missed it. Let's go for sunrise, too. We're getting more sunlight, which is great to see. First light today was at 7:03 a.m., sunrise was at 7:32 a.m. Sunset today was at 5:41 p.m., with last light at 6:10, giving us about 10 hours and 8 minutes. Sorry about that, of sunlight. More than before. We have daily stocks above. Looks like small gains, 0.5% to 1%. Tommy will be going over stocks for last week of the last 5 days.
Yeah, but before we get into the stocks for the last 5 days, I want to call out really quick that gold is sitting at $4,800 at like $4,800. That's crazy. That's a crazy recession indicator. $4,849. So wow. And I think silver is
That's also going up from what I've heard.
Silver is $83 an ounce. That is insane. That is insane. Just wanted to call that out very, very quickly. So Dow's up 304 points over the last 5 days. S&P's up 10 points over the past 5 days, and Nasdaq is down 142 points over the past 5 days. So about small gains for Dow and S&P, small loss for Nasdaq.
Remember, that's how last week was, too, so we're not really getting big gains like we've seen a while ago, like 2% gains. We're just seeing these small gains and small losses the past couple weeks, so we'll have to see how it's doing. Bitcoins keep going down a lot, so good for it. Don't buy Bitcoin, that's dumb. I'm ready to go into a funny topic. It'll be a real quick one. It's about the Melania documentary flopping. The feature film Melania, directed by Brett Ratner, which we'll be talking about him a little bit later. He was in the new Epstein release. So interesting that he did this. Not going to talk about that. That's kind of, paying someone off. It follows First Lady Melania Trump's during the 20 days leading up to her husband's January 2025 presidential inauguration. Amazon AMG Studios acquired it for about $40 million and spent $35 million plus on marketing. So they spent $75 million just on acquiring it and marketing, making it the most expensive documentary ever produced. The opening weekend, it only got $7 million, which is over initial projections. But initial projections were 3 to 5. But I also think like we'll talk about, a lot of places down south kind of pushed people to go see it, so that kind of makes sense. It did that, but that's horrible. It opened at about 1,800 theaters, so $7 million is kind of not that good for any documentary. It's like I said, it's not too close to recouping the $75 million overall. When facing a production, marketing, and distribution costs. That's kind of crazy. 1/10 over for opening weekend. And documentaries don't sell well. But, to be fair, if they came out with good documentaries about Michelle Obama, they'd be making more money than that. And we know that for a fact. Because more people just like her and would see it more. So if you're spending, $75 million to recoup 10% on your first weekend, it's pretty bad. Really good movies will basically make more their first weekend than what they did, and that's how you know you're a good movie. If you spend $75 million, even some of these $200 million movies, they will make that over in their first weekend. You know, I mean, we've seen that with Warcraft and like a lot of these avatars and other bigger movies. And there's been some flops too, and like less people go to the movies. But like this has such a cult following to me because of all the Trump supporters. We knew they were going to get viewers. And the demographics, like we kind of knew, skewed older, white, and female, with strong performance in southern and Republican-leaning states like Florida and Texas, which makes sense. This suggests a narrow but concentrated market rather than broadcast cross demographic pool. Obviously, they weren't going to get many young people seeing this, let alone young men. Even Republicans probably don't care, but even people on the left ain't going to like it at all. So that's funny. A many conservative audience have been touting it as a rare nonfiction hit for a politically themed film, which is kind of crazy. But that's just how they are. They're gonna love Trump and all the stuff that comes out with that. Um, a lot of it, critics in the liberal media and late night comedy have slammed it for being a vanity project, propaganda, or attempt at political image building, and not serious cinema. And also, like, if Michelle Obama did this when she was, first lady, people would complain about that. So it's kind of interesting that, like, and Trump's known this. Melania has been so pushed away. He demoed her half of the building, and she's been in New York for most of the time. She's not really focused that much on the American people. There's been widespread mockery of low interest in major cities and images of poor ticket sales, especially online, and in more liberal or urban areas, a lot of these bigger cities. And we've also seen ads for it, so that's kind of funny to me, too. There have been, maybe some people have been getting paid to go see it, so. What do you think, Tommy?
I'm just thinking, I was kind of zoning out when you were talking about this, because I was just imagining, like all of the different doorknobs I'd rather sit on than see this movie. This is ridiculous. This movie, I don't know who thought this was a good idea. First off, let's just talk about, for the sake of the funny topic, let's just say the movie is about the first lady. And I am 100% certain that the first lady does not love the president of the United States. I am 100% certain about that. So how are they going to spin that in a movie designed for Republicans? Are they, I guess they just lie. But like if you take a look at the body language of the first lady, visibly, retracting her hand, when Donald Trump, leans into her, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. And then they're gonna take that relationship, they're gonna take her and her association with the dear leader, and they're gonna turn that into a movie, essentially for supporters of fascism. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. Like I said, I wouldn't be caught dead seeing that movie. I'd be down at the doorknob store. It's just ridiculous. Just ridiculous. Don't see this movie. I hope it flops.
Especially since if you're taking someone else, it's $50 to see a movie with ticket and popcorn and drinks. So I mean, it's crazy. Don't spend it. There's way better stuff to
Yeah,
watch
don't.
out there.
Yeah, no, don't do that. It's just, and I hate to say this, but um, other first ladies in the past have had, initiatives. It was Jill Biden with health, and Michelle Obama with helping kids eat healthy and stuff. What is the initiative of the first lady right now? I genuinely don't know. I
Yeah, me
genuinely
either.
don't know, and I think they're trying to keep her out of the spotlight because they hate each other. That's kind
They're
of what
not
I
getting in
think.
the way.
Um, yeah, so but here we are, they have an opportunity to make a bunch of money off of her name, and I guess they're gonna take it.
All right, I'm ready to go into our first National One topic, which I'll be covering. Make sure you drop a like if you're enjoying everything so far. It's the new Epstein file release. We kind of keep talking about this and say we keep our. We're going to keep talking about it. So the latest from that and last weekend, the U.S. Department of Justice has released millions of pages of documents, images, and videos related to the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein and his associates under the Epstein Files Transparency Act passed by Congress. We know a lot of this have been delayed. I guess at first they released it, but most of it was unredacted. I don't know if you saw that, Tommy, and it deleted all of it, and then it came out with it mostly redacted again. So I mean, this government's crazy to me. The fact that like you have a person uploading that and like there's no checks blows my mind. But go on.
Well, and I saw a New York Times article. They were talking about that when the New York Times started going over these documents, there were no redactions on on pictures of underage naked women, for instance. So and that the New York Times had to notify the Justice Department to then go and redact that. So
That's crazy.
it's just crazy. Like it's the one thing you absolutely have to fucking redact.
And it's
You
crazy.
know,
It
like
shows how much maybe they were trying to redact Trump because they were saying, oh well, we need to redact all this CP bad stuff in there, and they still didn't do it. So what were they doing for these past months? I mean, it blows my mind. The newest release reportedly totals about 3 million pages, including a large volume of photos, correspondence, and records spanning previous investigations into Epstein and his co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell. Like me and Tom were saying, DOJ acknowledges errors and redactions and protection of victim identities, and some documents have reportedly included unredacted names of victim, causing alarms among survivors and their associates. Probably get sued for that. So that's crazy. Some notable mentions: former Donald Trump is mentioned hundreds of times in documents. Though the DOJ says many of allegations about him are unverified or false. I don't know why they would be in there then. Former President, also Bill Clinton, is in a little bit of it, but he's not been accused of wrongdoing in it, actually. Emails and controversial narratives linked to Bill Gates were also publicized. Gates has denied the claims and labeled them absolutely absurd. Other figures mentioned in the scattered records includes Prince Andrew, a lot of entertainment and business leaders. Like we said before, the director of the Melania movie was in it. A lot of people, so it's interesting. There's a lot of bad stuff about Trump in it that I read that's just disgusting. Like a lot of sexual harassment and, R word of young people is all I'm going to say about that. Um, but political reactions are deeply polarized, of course, for conservatives. Some conservative commentators and online communities stress that the files do not prove any criminal conduct for major Republican figures and view the release as vindication that claims made opponents lack of substance. Certain right-wing voices focus on the DOJ's assertions of unverified or false documents made their way into the public trove, presenting the controversy as politically weaponized. It's interesting to me, if a lot of this stuff, and it is before even 2016, 2012, 2008. It's not like they were politicizing Trump becoming president then. Like, come on, guys, for God's sake. So it's crazy to me. On the left wing and liberal side, progressives and critics of Trump administration argue that DOJ is not fully complying with the law, releasing only about half the pages identified in the response and engaging heavy redactions or selective disclosure. Democratic lawmakers like Representative Jamie Raskin have publicly accused the Justice Department of a cover-up and demand access to the unredacted files so that we have a full record is transparent, and I agree with that too. If Trump's the president, it's his DOJ, they're definitely covering stuff up. Just like how Epstein died his first presidency. So lately we keep talking about this. We need to keep going after them for this. Some disgusting stuff's been happening. So, in my mind, like we have to actually go after these people. And I wish we could prosecute all of them, and it would. But like we talked about before, we don't really respect women as much as in America as we say we do, because we would be doing this and taking it seriously. Because at least like 43 victims' names were reportedly exposed due to redaction errors, which is crazy to me. New victims, Democrats accuse DOJ of incompetence and demand of re-redaction, which is good. Like Tommy was saying, if it's bad, if the Times has to let you know there's bad stuff on there. What do you think, Tom?
listen, is anybody really surprised that Donald Trump is a man of poor moral character? This is a man that was, before he got elected president the first time, said, "I grab women by the pussy." He said
Yep.
that in the bus. He said in the Access Hollywood tape. Throughout his career, he has consistently disrespected women and the value that they provide for our country. He said inappropriate things about his daughter, about Ivanka Trump. "Oh, things I would do to you if you weren't my daughter." Gross, 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 gross. And then, of course, he was sued civilly and lost for sexual abuse, battery, and defamation. And by the way, the fact it wasn't the R word, why it was only sexual abuse, was because in under New York law, archaic New York law, the R word required penetrate, like vaginal penetration. Okay, so technicality, it's not even, like the full out R word civilly, So Donald Trump has proven himself over and over and over again to be a man of poor, poor, poor moral character who should not be anywhere near power, should not be anywhere near 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue and in the Oval Office. It's
Mm.
disgusting. It's disgusting. In terms of, you know, all the other people in these files, this needs. I'm a big believer when it comes to this and just transparency. I think we need to, blow the doors wide open on this. Except of course, the obvious redactions that need to be made involving witnesses, or excuse me, involving victims, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, personally, I'm just so unsurprised that our president is a man of poor moral character. you know, um, and it's just disgusting. It's just disgusting all that's going on right now with all of these files, all of these
Hmm.
insane accounts of child SA and by rich and powerful men, many of who hold prominent positions of power. It's disgusting, and they need to be held accountable, specifically to the president. Not surprised. Not surprised.
Yeah, agreed. And like we talked about before, like it shows for farce on the right wing about protecting the children. They say that unless it's their
Yeah.
president, and like it's sad that anything that they see that is like, oh, we're not in the cult, is Trump derangement syndrome. But it's like, guys, like if you say you care about these things, but anytime that Trump does it, you flop. Like you're the one that has TDS, and you're just obsessed with them. So
Yeah.
it's sad. We'll keep talking
You
about
know,
it, but do not keep covering it up. Go on.
yeah, they say we have Trump derangement systems. It's like we just got done watching videos of two people getting murdered by ICE agents in Minneapolis, and we don't like that. And they're gonna say we have Trump derangement syndrome. Meanwhile, they're the people. They're like, yeah, murder, woo! Like it's crazy. It's crazy. Don't say that we have Trump derangement system when you're over there gooning for murderers.
Yeah.
Okay, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Agreed. And
And then
we've
Trump
seen
derangement
them flop
system.
with the police with this stuff and Jan 6. So, I mean, they are
Yeah.
sheep. If you don't have consistent morals or ethics, if you don't have integrity, you're hypocritical. Can't be that way. But that's just me.
Yes, sir. Anything else to add? You want to move
I'm
on
good
to
to
our
go to the
next
national
topic?
topic too. Make sure you guys are dropping a like if you're enjoying. I appreciate everyone stopping by tonight.
Okay, everybody, government shutdown time again, again, again. Okay, so what's going on? A partial government shutdown is underway after Congress failed to pass a full funding bill before the expiration of the previous spending resolution at 12:01 a.m. on January 31st. It affects about half of federal departments and agencies. House Speaker Mike Johnson, boo, is facing pressure to get a funding package to the House after the Senate approved the deal last week. So the deal is essentially longer term funding for every agency affected besides the Department of Homeland Security, which oversees ICE. So under the current deal that is in before the House of Representatives, the ICE funding through the Department of Homeland Security would be extended for 2 weeks, while the other affected agencies would be funded for a longer period of time. However, in the House right now, I'm going off the notes, but in the House right now, um, there exists a small contingent of Republicans, a contingent of Republicans, I should say, that are not interested in this funding bill precisely because it limits ICE funding for 2 weeks and not for a broader period of time. Democrats on the other side in the Senate negotiated this deal for 2 weeks funding of ICE to give them and the president more time to negotiate over limitations on ICE. So it's interesting to see how the deal brokered by Democrats and supported by the regime is now being held up by even more crazy Republicans who are mad that the ICE is funded for only for 2 weeks. So House Republicans Johnson, they're hoping that this is that the shutdown is short. um However, people are starting to think that the shutdown could persist for longer. So this is interesting. This is interesting. So, obviously, over the past several weeks, we saw the what I would call the murder of Alex Peretti and Renee Good, and then obviously that put a lot of pressure on the legislative branch, Congress, and the Senate to um, exercise their power. Um, Under Article 1 of the United States Constitution, the power of the purse, to rein in and control the actions of ICE. So, unfortunately, what we're seeing here, I think, is is some weakness amongst some Democrats to effectively listen to their base and actively pursue weakness among some Democrats to actively work on concrete limitations of ICE. So my position on this may be unpopular to some that I know, but listen, we have people that are getting killed in our streets. Renee Good, Alex Peretti. We have children that are um being kidnapped while they're waiting for the school bus, being used as bait. And I'm not sure if I was in the United States Senate, I would be willing to fund ICE for even one more day, let alone 2 more weeks. So listen, it's hard for me to say exactly how this is going to come out. What sort of limitations are going to be placed on ICE if this funding bill even passes. Um, what I suspect will happen is that the funding bill will pass the House, and then the 2 weeks will come through, and then we'll be in a big fight all over again about ICE. I don't believe the Republicans actually want to do anything about this, and it's incumbent upon um, the Democrats in the House of Representatives to effectively use their power of the purse to control ICE and to stop the murder. So, I understand that, a shutdown is risky amongst um, political insiders any shutdown is risky. There's a risk of being blamed for it. But if there was ever a case, if there was ever a time to make a moral stand through a government shutdown, I can't, think of a much stronger time than right now to do so. So hopefully, um, you know, we return to a sense of normalcy in this country where people are free to exercise their rights and secret police aren't roaming around and yeah, just a dark day. Dark day. Ugh.
Agreed, Tommy. And
What do you have to say,
this is
Liam?
the only way we could stand up for that and for to do the right thing morally, I mean, I think they should. Government shutdown's not a good thing, and we talked about last time. We've seen them blame the Democrats for anything, small things. You know what I mean? So let's make it matter. A lot of times, like it kind of sucks that Republicans have all this control, and we're still having these issues. So even last time, so it kind of shows that they can't control things, and I'm fine with using it as leverage for that morally. Um, and ethically as well. So we'll have to see. Hopefully they can get a deal done and, do like we talked about, like chest cams for ICE agents and maybe less funding, more oversight, at least something. Because if it's going to be more 3 years of this, let's try to get it more controlled. And we'll keep talking about that and see if we actually get a, long shutdown, short shutdown. We'll get an update next week.
We could talk about this next week more. I imagine it will probably be over and we'll see the trajectory of it, but yeah, there's a lot to say about this and we'll come back to it when we have more information next week.
All right, we only have one local topic tonight to keep it a little bit short. Happy Black History Month, which is a quick overview of local Black History Month events going on around Northeast Ohio. Real quick, we have early February activities, the art lecture and exhibit opening. Davon Brantley will speak from 5:30 to 6:30 at Youngstown State University, McDowell Museum of Art, followed by an opening reception at the Judith Ray Simone Gallery. Brantley's work will be on display throughout February as well. Make sure you look up all these online if you're interested. We have an organ music concert, a free concert featuring organist Ralph Holzhauser, which take place from 7 p.m. at Christ, Epicostal Church in Warren. Horrible with names, that's one of them. Program focuses on works by African American composers and celebrates their influences on sacred and concert music traditions. There's African Marketplace from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at McKay Auditorium, Beagley Hall, and Youngstown State University's Marketplace showcase vendors, cultural displays, and traditional African foods. The mid-month programs, February 8th, we have an Underground Railroad program, historical presentation at the Braceville's Underground Railroad at Braceville Township Hall. February 12th, we have an author talk. Dr. Lindsay Stewart discusses her book, The Conjuring of the American Mojos, Mermaids, Medicine of 400 Years of Black Woman's Magic, a talk streamed live from McKinley Memorial Library in Iowa. So that'll be interesting on the 12th. Continued engagements on February 19th. We have genealogy class at the Howland Library branch. to assess and teaches methods for tracing African American family history using both traditional and digital records. February 21st, we have a digital screening of The Lives of Toni Morrison, followed by a discussion on Morrison's legacy will be held at McKay Auditorium in Bigley Hall, YSU. Some of the later month events, February 24th, we have Family Hour, Black Children's Book Week. Families of children ages 3+ can enjoy crafts, games, and activities inspired by African American children's literature for Warren Trumbull County Library. Awesome to see that. We have a movie screening on February 22nd. The movie screening will take place at 1 p.m. at the Warren Trumbull County Public Library. February 28th, we have a Hall of Fame banquet. The Trumbull County African American Achievers Association holds its Hall of Fame banquet at the DeVeste Banquet Center, featuring guest speaker Reverend Todd Johnson. Awesome to see. Compiled calendar represents a broad mix of culture, education, historical, and communal events across from Mahoning Valley to honor Black History Month. Like we've seen it spanning art, music, literature, history, genealogy, and communal celebration, which is awesome with offerings for both adults and families. So if you have a kid or even if you just want to go and learn a little bit, make sure you go out to any of those and look them up during Black History Month. That's really it for me on this. I kind of wanted the local one to be a little educational. Local news has been kind of dry. All the snow has been making people tired. We have some announcements for certain stuff. I saw Nikki Frenchko was being crazy again today, so there's not much going on. And I'm really happy to talk about this as a local topic. Just educate people on stuff going on. Communal. And I like going out to stuff like this. So if you have time, do it. Especially food. Get some food and educate yourself. Good time.
A lot of good events, recognizing the achievements and influence that African Americans have had in our communities and in our nation. One thing I did want to point out, I'm sorry to be so negative today, like, oh my God, but I'm at whitehouse.gov right now. Trump didn't even declare African American History Month.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm looking right now. I'm looking at presidential actions, executive orders, memorandum, proclamations. So again, we're dealing with a very, very bad person in office. But I'm happy that at least locally that we are honoring and recognizing the achievements of African Americans in our nation, even if our president won't.
Yeah, we've seen him remove a lot of Black history this past year, which is sad. Even last week in Philadelphia at the president's house, right by Independence Hall. I was there the past year and saw it. A lot of stuff about slavery and slaves coming through there and slaves building that house. He had that removed, so I'm not surprised. People don't like that. Like we talked about last week, it's, getting authoritarian up in here, especially when you're making a documentary about your wife, but...
That's one way of looking.
That's really it for me. Do you have anything else about this, Tom? I hope everyone has a great week. We'll be here Thursday. Hope you go to some of these events and learn about your community. Music I love too. Music would be awesome, so maybe go to that.
I'll be back on Monday unless I end up in a government detention camp. I'll be back to talk on the news, about the news. So yeah, thanks for having me again, Liam. Thanks. It was a good show.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. I appreciate everyone stopping by. Make sure you drop a like if you haven't. If you're enjoying the content, that really helps us out with the algorithm. We have a Facebook in the description. Follow us on there. If you want to ring that bell to be notified whenever we go live, and subscribe as well to be notified, that would be great. Helps us out. Helps you stay on track with us. So have a great night, everybody. We'll be back here Thursday and back here next week. Look on Facebook. We might be, like I said, we might just be doing at 8:15 starting now, but we'll see. Normally it's 8:30. Have a great night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.